Okay, so again, welcome to today's webinar titled Get the App, a virtual tour of Vermont's new AMP app. Our presenter and guide today is Dave Wilcox. And as you know, Dave is the Watershed Forester with Vermont Department of Forest, Parks and Recreation. And so with that, Dave, I'll just go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks.
I really had no idea that I'd ever be leading a webinar on an app when I started forestry school many years ago, but here I am. So everybody's familiar with the AMPs, the acceptable management practices that we have here in Vermont. They were developed in the 1980s and have been in effect since then. We had the little orange book for years, and in 2018 the AMP manual was rewritten. The rules were updated, the manual was rewritten, and we did it in a way that that separated somewhat the rules from the manual, which is additional information and background information, supporting information to those rules, why we do what we do. And so the idea is that we can update that manual without having to go to rulemaking and change the rules every time we want to add a new technology that helps us protect water quality. So and I'm not saying that we want to update the manual every year, but we want to have the option to improve it if we can and if we need to. So in addition to the new manual, which everybody hopefully has a copy of it, and the idea, when Sam Lincoln, a lot of folks know Sam, he worked with the department as our deputy commissioner for several years, and he and I kind of developed this idea for an app. Sam is a real forward-thinking guy and into technology, and more so than I am, but I could understand the value of having that manual on your phone in a way that we have so many other things that we use day to day on our phone, so that it's includes all the information in the manual, but also we started thinking about what other tools could we include in this app. And so today I'm going to go over the app and the different tools that we added to it, and we'll have time for questions, so you can put it in the chat. You can in the end you can turn off your speaker. If there's something really you want to stop me and say that doesn't make sense, just go right ahead and unmute yourself and stop me. But I'm gonna try to go through all the different points of the app, and so people will understand what it does. And to do that, I have Zoom going on my phone, and I'm gonna start my Zoom meeting on my phone. You'll still be able to hear me and see me in my little Hollywood Squares video, but the app will be shared, and you won't see my fingers obviously, but you'll see what button I'm pushing, and I'll try to demonstrate as we go. But I got to figure out how to do this. Bear with me. Okay. So I swiped that out of the way. And so the AMP icon in the bottom right corner is the app. I'm just going to slide my video of myself out of the way. And so that little arrow down here, this thing is not part of the app. It's part of Zoom. So when you're in the app, you won't see that. That'll go away. So I've been playing around with it. I wasn't on the home screen. So hopefully folks have uploaded or downloaded the app to their phone. You have to, you go to the Google store, or the App Store or Google Play, and search Vermont AMP, and then you'll get it on your phone. When you get it, there's an initial setup screen. You have to enter. I think it's your email, and that's only for downloading, sending PDFs to yourself. This app is not connected to any kind of database or any state software or anything. You don't have to sign into this app. It's free. Anybody can use it. We don't collect any information, and so it's separate, so to speak. There's no sign in, no security codes. The information, all your information, is strictly your own. The state doesn't see it, and it's simply a tool. There's no other regulatory or monitoring kind of use of it, obviously. But as we can see, this is the main menu that you get to, and it has, as you can see, 6 different sections. It has the manual itself on top, and then it has a tool we call job details with mapping, and I'll go into that helps you estimate and lay out AMPs in a map that you can upload and then get out in the field. And even if you don't have connectivity in the field, your map will still show, and the GPS in your phone will move you around that map, and you're able to drop pins and locate AMP practices and enter what those practices are, and in the end you get a map, and then you get also a summary of costs of those practices based on the information that's in the settings. And the settings is the bottom of the main screen here. And you also see there's a couple buttons across the bottom. The button to take you directly to the tables, I'll just hit that. That takes you to the tables that are in the manual without having to search through the pages. So if I wanted to see the culvert table, I have it right there. If I wanted to see the buffer width table, I could go directly to it. And so I'm back at the main menu here. The third button down, AMP cost calculator, and I'll go over that as well separately, but that's allows you to enter information about a timber sale or a job that you just walked, and you want to make a rough estimate of what the AMP practices would cost. It allows you to enter different parameters of that, of what you saw on the job, how many culverts you need, how many hours of machine time, how many water bars, how many trails, that sort of thing. And it helps you plan for the AMP costs. And then the fourth button down, which I'm going to open up right now, is a link. We did not develop this soil website. This is a link to the UC Davis soil web. So if I hit OK, it takes me to somewhere in California. But if I hit the button in the top left, the little bullseye button, that will I need to allow it to use my location. And where did it go? I lost where did my Kate, can you?
Yeah, so Dave, your phone is still signed in, but somehow I think it stopped sharing.
Okay. I wonder if it did that when I went to that site. Let's try it again.
You're back up and sharing now.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna click the soils map again. Let me get this out of the way. And I hit OK. It takes me to, must be the default view is somewhere in California, but if I hit this top left bullseye button, it kicks me out. Well, news to me that that doesn't work with Zoom. I'm going to start it again. I'm not going to use that button. That's the button of death. Okay, share content, screen. It's got to be something to do with using my GPS in my phone, allowing it to track me.
I'm getting an error message to Dave on my phone as I follow along. So it
Okay.
says that there's not permission to from the browser to determine your location.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'll just say that soil map works really well. Yeah, I think it's something with Zoom. So I'll just kind of describe it. If you're into that, in that soil layer or that soil web, and you click on the bullseye and you allow the phone to use your location, it will show you the soil web map for your area, and you can zoom in and zoom out. You can select polygons for the soil type that you're in or next to, and or you can scroll around the state, and if you know where you're looking, you can, find those soil series and look up all sorts of useful information about that soil, whether it's hydric soil or what the different parameters are, and recommended practices for or different uses of that soil, ag and forestry uses, so on. And that's just a helpful link to have in the app with you if you want to know what your soils are, especially hydric soils and wetland soils. Those are very important to be able to identify before we start laying out harvest blocks and roads and trails. So the next down on the main menu is the contact button, and so I'll talk a little bit about connectivity with the app and the way that the app works. If you have a good internet connection, all of the links in the app will be live, and like I'm going to click the FPR district and AMP forester button, and you can see all of the different districts, and Rick Dyer's phone number is right there. If I click on that phone number, I'll call Rick. For some reason, I thought we had fixed it, but the emails are also supposed to be live links, and they are not in this one. But if I wanted to email Rick, I could click on his email. I think in the county foresters, yeah, they are. So Chris, if you wanted to email yourself, you could click on that button. And so all of these links work when you're in a connected environment. If you're not in a connected environment, you'll still see the information, but you wouldn't have the live link, or the live link wouldn't work. And that's true with the AMP manual itself. And I'll go through that in a little bit. We'll start with the manual and look at that information. But so this contact list allows folks to identify who the county foresters are, or like where I was before, who the AMP foresters are, the district address, the location of the district office, and emails. So and then my email and phone numbers at the bottom as well. But that's helpful information kind of at your fingertips. The last button on this contacts is to report a spill. Any hazardous spill of 2 gallons or more in the state of Vermont needs to be reported. And this button gives you all the information you would need to know what to do in emergency and in case of a spill. So that's what the contact button is all about. And then in the settings, which is the bottom button, we have this is kind of a default screen or a catch-all screen, I guess, that basically says we put in some default values for a lot of the job costs in the settings, and they are our estimate / guess at what some realistic job, how much is a machine per hour for different types of machines. How long does it take to do to put in 30 feet of poles, or how much time does it take to put in a water bar? We took a guess at those and put them in the settings. You're going to want to customize those with your own values if you feel it's necessary. So and if you change those, it won't affect the summaries that you've already received through for previous jobs where you've used the other settings, so to speak. So it doesn't go back and retroactively change previous jobs. It just changes them going forward. So if you hit proceed, you fill in, this is what you had to fill in when you first, it did it again. I lost it. Sorry, folks. What did I do? I'm gonna have, oh, now it's telling me I'm back. Okay, at least I didn't completely fall off, lose my connection. Let's see if it'll happen when I go to settings again. Okay. So in the settings, job reporter, that's what you had to fill in when you first got on the app. Mobilization costs, laborer costs, machine costs, all these things we put time values in here and times. And these are all things that will be utilized when we're in the job details tool, and this is where you would change those values if you wanted to. There's a lot of them. There's times for these for each machine. Of course, we don't put in culverts with a bulldozer, water bars, settling basins, maybe a temporary skidder bridge, and then materials. These are prices from last February, or this past February. So I'm sure they've changed, but these are legitimate current prices that I got from EJ Prescott and Ferguson, and averaged them out, so to speak. So it'll vary in different areas of the state at different times of the year and different years. So you want to make sure that what you're using is custom, but this is a start anyways, and it gives you a place to keep track of those. So if somebody said to me, what's the cost of a 36-inch culvert, I could say that back in February, they were $86 a foot. I don't know what they are now, but okay, so those are the 6 main parts of the app, looking at the table of contents. And then we looked at tables, and then the clinometer. I think I'll do that. I'll do that next, and that's going to be a little bit interesting because I'm going to try to go and do a little show and tell over by the wall. So the way the clinometer works, it's a built-in clinometer in your phone. Well, it uses your camera in your phone, and what I learned through this process is every camera or every phone has a different configuration of the camera, literally the way the camera sits in the body of the phone. And so we need to calibrate it when we start using it. And the way to do that is to find 2 marks, two objects, or 2 things to sight on that are at zero slope, so that are flat. Basically, you can use if you have a body of water, you could try to measure from the up and down somewhere. Use the siding on your house if you think your carpenter did a good job making your siding level. What I did is in this building, I have a long building I'm in that I used my clinometer, my regular old-fashioned clinometer, and double checked it, but I measured up from the floor, thinking that this National Life had built a level building. I measured up from the floor on one post. I measured up from the floor at the other post. I used my regular clinometer, made sure that it was 0. And it was, and I put 2 pieces of red tape there. So I'm going to apologize for the bounciness, but I'm going to lug everybody over. So there's the red tape on one wall. And then way down at the other end, there's another piece of red tape. So basically, I have this red tape. I hold the camera at that red tape, and then the very top of the thing is a zoom. I can slide that zoom way over. What happened? Oh, we gotta be kidding me. Sorry, folks. Bringing it up again. I think what I did was I hit the button, the power button. Okay, back where we were. So I'm going to hold at the red button on the top. I'm going to hold on the red button line over there, and see how my phone says 0? It's because I calibrated it. And to calibrate it, can't be kidding me. Sorry, folks. Is this Kate? Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Do you think you're hitting? You think you're hitting a button, Dave? Or
no, I was very careful not to that time. I know I didn't hit a button.
Okay.
But I'm not. I'm just gonna describe it, anyways. Okay. So you would, the calibrate button is in the top right corner. It's got a little bullseye. You'd hit that calibrate button. I don't know why it did that. You hit the calibrate button and then hold it on the 2 marks and hit calibrate, and it'll reset it to 0 essentially. And you have to be very careful to do it. Without having it jump around out of 0. So I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to keep torturing you all with it not working. Let me get out of this. So it's not jumping around. So anyways, that is an important step, is calibrating your clinometer, and be creative on how you do that. I think at our trainings, we set up 2 pieces of flagging on 2 trees and use one tree. You have to hold it against the tree so that it doesn't move. And then you have to use your other hand to reach over and hit the 0 button. But I've had phones that were, like 10 or more % off because they just didn't, for whatever reason, they weren't accurate right out of the gate, so to speak. So you can fix that by calibrating it. Okay, so the search button is relative. It relates to the AMP manual. If I hit the search button, and folks they have questions about the calibrating, they can ask. I'm going to leave a few minutes at the end for questions. So I apologize for the thing cutting out on me, but I think when a phone is doing, seems like when a phone is doing other things other than just being a phone for a Zoom meeting, it's very sensitive and things can happen. So when I hit search, if I want to, let's say I want to learn about water bars, this will show me everywhere in the app where water bars is used. So if I wanted to do whatever, whatever you happen to be looking for, if you typed it in there, it would show you in the manual where that word is used. And it's helpful for finding information that you're looking for. In the manual, obviously, because we have the table of contents broken up pretty well, you can zoom to the parts that you're looking for very quickly. If, let's just say we wanted to learn about wetlands, reality of harvesting in wetlands. And so what that does is it puts you in the app. Think of the app as a giant scroll, so to speak, and like we're all used to on phones. You zoom down or scroll down to the well, you move your finger, pull it down, and you're going to the top of whatever it is you're looking for. And if you go to up, you go to the bottom of whatever you're just looking for. But if I just keep going, I can look at all the different sections other than logging activities in wetlands. So I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't chop it up. It just puts you in the right part of the role, so to speak, if that makes any sense. So then that's pretty self-explanatory. If you hit these arrows that are like right now, appendix is expanded, and I can close that by doing that. Here I can close the introduction, and that's pretty easy. It's the exact same word for word document from the paper manual to the app. It's just reformatted a little bit so that some photos that are next to each other on a page in the manual are now above and below each other, just so it's easier reading in the app. But everything is there. It's all identical. And there's no real difference. The only thing that I'll add to that is we have printed a second version, or no, I'm not going to say second version, second edition of the AMP manual. And so where the manuals now on the front cover say Vermont 2019 underneath the little water symbol, now they say Vermont 2022. And the only thing that we changed, we made like I had one typo that we fixed, like a misspelling, and there were a few other minor errors that like page numbers weren't referenced properly or things like that, and those were all fixed. But none of the basic information in the app has changed, or in the manual has changed at all. So, and actually the app uses the old 2019 edition, so that spelling error is still in there. I'm not going to try to find it, but anyways, that's the manual, and that's what really people expect when they say the AMP app. But these other tools are certainly beneficial, and I'm gonna go over the job details with mapping right now, and I'm gonna just kind of like talk hypothetically about just to kind of demonstrate how it's used. So I'm going to click the job details with mapping, and you'll see I have 3 different possibilities. I can add a new job, I can look at an active job, or I can look at all the inactive jobs, which basically, I have all sorts of inactive jobs that I've done. Most of them are just examples, tests, and then I have active jobs. This is a job that I was, and when I say job, obviously most of the time we're referring to logging jobs, but this was a road job, a road repair implementation, clean water funds, and all of these dots are, as you can see in the legend here, the red dots are culverts, the yellow are water bars, and the green are fords. And in this instance, they're really not fords. They're just crossings. It's a winter road that does not have a bridge to it, so all the crossings are pulled, and so they're not really fords. They're just open crossings. So if I wanted, and not only did I save all of those points in this job, but I have a job summary, and it tells me how many water bars, how many stream crossings, because it counts every ford as a stream crossing. And there are a lot of stream crossings, but they would normally be small intermittent stream culverts, but we don't want to have culverts up there because we don't want to have to maintain them, and we know they'll get plugged and cause problems. So we're just going to leave them open. And then when we go to use the site again, whenever that is, we'll potentially install temporary culverts or permanent culverts, whatever we decide to do. And then it keeps track of some of the bigger culverts that we are going to put in, and it gives a cost, job material cost and labor cost, and then cost of implementation. So, and I just noticed that somehow job material and machine and labor costs do not add up to total cost of implementation. And I'm trying to think of why that would be. But so I'll have to look into that. Anyways, and if I go to features, these are all the features that I saved, all those points on that map, and I can look at them one at a time and say, okay, here's a intermittent natural ford, needs work. And what we're doing is putting a little bit of stone around each crossing or at each ford, essentially. And we have an estimated cost, and that estimated cost is includes erosion stone trucked to the site and then forwarded up or track trucked up to the crossing. So that's a kind of like high end estimate of the cost. Nobody wants to bid a job and have the estimate be way off. So just an example of how I've used this in real life. I did this last week out in J State Forest. So, but what I want to go to now is how to create a new job. So I would click on the new job. I'm going to call this example, and I'm going to put in a town, Montpelier, good old SOV. The span number is optional. Job duration, it's required just because if you use it, yeah, we want to put the job, and that's in months. So if it's just a winter job, we'll say 3 months, and you can put notes, whatever, hit save it. So now that example is in the current jobs, active jobs. So now I open it up, and I want to add a map. So if I know that this where this job is going to be has cell coverage, the map will always work. I don't need to save a map. I can just go and use it. I will need to save one just because it'll ask for you to save it. But if I get there and I don't have cell coverage, I'm not going to be able to make the map on site. I need to make the map ahead of time. It's just like making an Avenza map, essentially, before you go and use your Avenza. Although right now, currently, this software is not compatible with Avenza, which someday I would like it to be. And that's kind of going to be first on our list to see if that's possible. So if I'm going to a site or I have a site that I don't know if I have connectivity, I need to make the map ahead of time. So what I'm sitting in, a place that I know I have good cell coverage, I go to make the map, and let's just say this map is going to be Boyer State Forest. I put it in the wrong town. Boyer State Forest is in Berlin. It is that little parcel right there with that little dog leg. So that is Boyer State Forest, one of the blocks of Boyer State Forest. So you can see the parcel maps, and there's the field, there's Crosstown Road. I know that's the parcel I want. So I'm going to zoom out so that that parcel is entirely within the map. And then I'm just going to say download map. And so what it's doing is it's going to, usually it'll give me a little countdown, tell me how many, can't remember the term for the units, but yeah. So it'll roll, should roll pretty quick, 428. Not sure if they're not pixels, but if it's I've had them be 2,000, 2,500. I'm not sure what the units are, but this is going really, really slow. for some reason. Maybe it's because we're connected. Yeah, this isn't going to work.
Hey, Dave, well, you're, maybe while we're waiting for that to do the download, uh, T. McLean is asking, how do you download a PDF to a phone?
Okay.
You know how to do that?
Well, I need a little bit more information. Are you specifically talking about a PDF for Avenza? So these maps are not, these maps will become a PDF when we export it to our email or to a text or whatever. But we can't utilize another PDF from Avenza or ArcMap or anything else. We have to make them right now. We have to make them right here. So if you ask me, how do you get a PDF map to a phone? What I do is I email it to I make the PDF in ArcMap and I email it to myself, and then I open it up on my phone as a PDF. And then when I select it, I get the little upload symbol. And when I hit that upload symbol, it will give me an option to put it into Avenza. And I select Avenza, and then that PDF goes from my email into my Avenza. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly, but but currently the AMP app does not utilize PDFs in that same way. I don't know if that you welcome to. Oh,
I don't,
hi.
I don't use Avenza, so I was just wondering how you get a PDF, but you're saying you create it in the AMP app.
Yes. So this map that I have just created is it's saved as that view. And when I go out on site and I hit the button, the little blue arrow, I don't know if you saw it on that other map, that will locate me on this map. And I'll be moving around on this map, even if I don't have cell coverage. And I'll be able to, like, if I walk over a stream crossing and I want to mark where that stream crossing is, and I want to record information about what that stream crossing consists of, whether it's a temporary culvert or a permanent culvert or poles or whatever, I can enter that into the app, and then it's recorded on the map, and I can send that and use that for other things, whether it's planning or, that was the thing about developing this app, is we didn't try to create a mapping application. That would have been a lot more time and money, and we already have good mapping applications out there. We have Avenza, we have ArcGIS, and what we really felt would be beneficial was an app that helps you plan for AMP practices. And a lot of the important part of that is cost. So we tried to make an app that helps you estimate cost, and breaks down each practice into its simple kind of bits and pieces so that you can reproduce it, and it's kind of consistent across the board. And then you can show it to somebody and say, hey, yes, I worked here for 3 months and X number of loads of wood went away, but I have to do this much closeout. I had to do this much preparation to get ready to do that. And it cost me, real dollars to do that. And you can show somebody what that means. And whether it's bidding a job or justifying, the cost of doing business, so to speak, it allows you to, and the whole time that you're doing it, obviously you're understanding what the requirements are and how to stay in compliance with the water quality rules and all of that sort of stuff too. So we didn't try to create a mapping app. We made an app that keeps track of where you are. You can download it. You can save it to a as a PDF to your email or to a on your phone somehow, that you can then print or whatever, and then you can use that in those other mapping apps to make your timber sale map or whatever. So yeah, we have a lot of questions about the mapping, and we didn't try to replace Avenza. We didn't try to replace ArcGIS. However, it would be really nice if we could incorporate an Avenza map into here and then move around on your Avenza map and do all the things with the AMP practices that we want to do. I think that would be great, but we don't have the horsepower to be that mapping app from the start, I guess is what I'm saying. So so getting back to this job, now we have a map, we have the boundaries. So when we're out there and we're laying out our stuff, we'll be able to see where we are and have it geographically referenced. And so now it does, every AMP has one thing in common, that they're all associated with a road or a trail, some kind of conveyance, a way in or out of the woods. And so, and we don't distinguish between roads and trails. We just say roads and trails. They're the same. So we need to put in, so if we want to do a feature, say we're gonna put a stream crossing on one of those streams, and I want to add a feature, and I can zoom in now to my map, and I know that actually right here there already is a bridge, because they logged out here 2 winters ago, and they didn't get to it last winter, but they need to finish up. Anyways, I'm going to add feature. The first thing it's going to ask me is, what road or trail is it on? And so select the road or trail. There isn't a road or trail. So I need to go back, and I thought it would ask me to create a road or trail. I need to add a road or trail. So I'm going to call this trail the South Trail, and it's short. It's only about 800 feet, and it's moderate slope. And so now I go to feature, I add a feature, I go back to my location to add a feature, select a road or trail, South Trail, feature type. It's a stream crossing. It is an intermittent stream. It's a temporary bridge. I'm going to put it in with an excavator. Stream width in inches. That was only like a 4-footer. Drainage area, I think it was 40 acre. And so I'm going to say it's rented. So rented for 3 months, and I save it. So now I've got to install it with an excavator, because I have in the settings how much time it takes to set a bridge with an excavator, how much per hour the excavator is. It calculates that machine time, and then it adds, it's $100 a month to rent it. It's 3 months. So there's your cost for that temporary bridge. Whoops. So as we move along here, you can do it a couple different ways. You can zoom into the map. Of course, if we're out on the site, we're a blue dot moving around, and what you would do is you would hold your finger on that blue dot to locate where you are, and you can add a feature, and you can add water bars, stream crossings, other drainages. Water bars, you can identify what machine you're going to, and most of the time you're not going to have to choose one or the other. It would be, yeah, you just have an excavator or a bulldozer. But because there are a variety of different machines out there, we had, and that's the thing about doing an app like this, you have the drop downs are going to be, there's a lot of options because we're making a kind of a one size fits all. But when you're in the getting in the role of, when you're rolling along and getting you, and you're used to how it works, it's really quite quick to be able to do it. We're going to, and water bars, most don't have a settling basin, and you just hit save. So right now I have a water bar and a temporary bridge, and say we feature type, stream crossing, stream type, intermittent stream. Say we're going to do a permanent culvert. It's going to be a 20-foot long, drainage area is 50 acres. Active channel is, that's where you would, so the AMP app says you either, oh, why did it go? I did not do that. I didn't touch a thing. Just went away. The AMP app says you have to match the correct acreage for the drainage area, or have the culvert be at least the size of the active channel, whichever is smaller. So if your active channel is much smaller than your drainage area, you can use the stream crossing, the culvert size for the active channel, because that's generally more accurate than the drainage area because of soils and slopes and things like that. And typically you, I think the temp or the permanent culvert size is airs on the side of being conservative. So typically the active channels aren't bigger than your drainage area would make you think. So let me get back into this thing. That didn't have anything to do with another function of the phone. It just kicked me out. So I don't see any questions yet. And I can, and I don't want to keep, oh, maybe it's going to do it if I type something. Let's just hold our breath and see what happens. Right. So a 58, so this is a good example of how that works. A 50-acre drainage would call for a 42-inch pipe. But if I put an active channel of 36 in there, it says a 36-inch culvert will be used for calculations, because you would install a 36-inch culvert rather than a 42-inch culvert. So I hit save, and now I have a culvert. If I go back kind of to my summary, all those costs are being added in, and we can see that the material costs are, part of it is the 20 feet of 36-inch culvert, which again comes from the settings and the current price of culverts. And the machine and labor cost is separate for a total. And this one seems to be, yeah, I'm curious why that other job was different. But anyways, I think I might switch gear. Oh, it's almost 1 o'clock. Wow, how'd that happen? I'm going to switch gears really quickly and talk about the cost calculator. So this was one that I'd done earlier. This doesn't have a mapping component, and it's more of like a fill-in worksheet type thing. And it does have a stream crossing installation tool. So if you hit the button, it asks you the drainage area, active channel, the length, and it will like, let's see if we have 100 acres. And the active channel is we're going to say 50 inches. We already know temporary culvert is 36 inches, permanent culvert size is 60 inches. That should have reduced that permanent culvert size down. For whatever reason it didn't. But and then a bridge span. So it allows you to basically keep track of the culverts that you need. You save it, and then this would, so that what this does is it keeps track of the stream crossings and it will tell you for each size range. So there's an average time for a large stream crossing or a large culvert, average time for a medium culvert and a small culvert. And it basically allows you to quickly get estimates for all of these things. And you have 2 crossings to close out, an hour and a half to pull the culverts. And then you can add the culverts in. Now, if you have a culvert you're already going to have and you're not going to buy one, then you would just don't add one. If it's a temporary bridge, and it'll keep track of that. If you have other machine costs for landing work, it'll keep track of that. If you can put in your water bars for your different trails based on either the length of the trail or just the number of water bars, it'll calculate the machine time, and it will give you a based on all of the things that you entered. So this is essentially a live version of Sam's workbook that AMP cost spreadsheet that he uses or used. Well, he still uses. Hopefully he uses this. So I think I've been through all of it. I did not save it. And let me just check I think I've hit everything.
Thanks, Dave. I feel like it's appreciate you taking the time to give us sort of this great tour and overview of the tool. And it's clear there's a lot here. I know, I hope that folks were able to play around a little bit with it during the presentation. I know I was following along with my phone. Curious for any thoughts, as well as questions from folks while we have Dave for another few minutes. I also just wanted to mention this webinar, I forgot to mention in the beginning, is approved for SAF credits. And so if you are interested in getting the SAF continuing education credits, go ahead and please put your name and your SAF number or license number in the chat box. So I have that information when I go to process the request for credits. So that's more of a logistical note. But if folks have other questions for Dave, I'm sure he's willing to hang around for a minute or two.
Yeah. I for some reason, I didn't have a clock up, so I couldn't tell time went faster than I thought it was. So I thought I had 10 minutes left, and I was really surprised when I looked down and it was 12:58. So I'm happy to answer questions if you have any. And also if you folks have questions in the future, email me, call me. You can find my phone number right in the app. So can't make it any easier than that. And spread the word. I know that we sent this notification out to our listserv, and you never know, when you're sending things out by email, if people are getting the message. So I'd be interested to know if you talk to folks and said, well, I didn't hear about it, I would be, but the good thing is this recording is saved on the website. You folks who didn't see it can find it and look at it, and hopefully figure it out, you learn the value of it and start using it. And we'll be, if we do make, and I'm sure we will make some modifications and updates, folks will be notified of that, and the update will happen, I'm assuming, automatically. You may just have to, like I said, recalibrate the chronometer, because I was told that every time you get a new version and your settings reset. So, and like I said, I've seen some significant errors from phones saying that's not 0, that's 12%. And that can cause some pretty good issues. So I see some.
Yeah, Dave, there is a question from Peter in the chat box. He says, it looks like there is not a way to walk a trail and have it show up on the map, or use the information gathered, such as length and slope, to fill out the outfields. Is that right?
It is right. That it's it's not intended. Well, that was a wish list. I wanted there to be a way, like in many other programs, to walk a line segment and have that line segment be recorded on the map. And hopefully that we can make that change. But like I said, we just didn't have the bandwidth to do that at this point. So what we have is like that map of Black Falls, is you have a row of AMP practices essentially, and all of those are associated with the same trail. If you had multiple trails, they would have different trail names, so you would know which trails they were on. But right now we don't have a way of recording the trail, and that is not ideal. I recognize that, and hopefully we can add that in. Yes.
Sounds like a 2.0 version, right?
Yes. Well, yeah. That and having or being able to import a PDF from like Avenza and have it. The thing is, it has to be geo-referenced, because just like Avenza, if the map doesn't know or the map is, it's not gonna help you. So this tool is more useful for you creating the map in the field and walking the trail, collecting the points, and then kind of being able to visualize that afterwards. But it would be much better to have both the points and the line to record it.
Great. Looks like there's a question from Patrick. Great seminar. One question, you mentioned that the app allowed the state to make changes to the UVA manual on the AMPs without going through the rule changing process to give enrolled landowners the easy out if any changes are made by the state program.
Yes, I probably did not say that, what I said in a way that that was readily understandable. We cannot make changes to the rules. That has not changed. We can't make changes. We can't make the changes to the recommended culvert sizes, we can't make changes to the recommended spacing of the water bars. We can't do any of that. What we can do is add a better picture of a grapple skidder, or a a new type of wooden bridge or temporary bridge that could be used. And I'm say a new picture of a grapple skidder as a joke, because we had the old AMP manual, which I thought I had one in here, which was this book for 30 years. And it was just black and white and had very old drawings but the entire thing was the rule. So we couldn't add a picture or change a diagram without going to rulemaking. So now the rules that are, you can find, and they're actually in the back of the manual, there's the AMP rules. Those are set in stone and those cannot be changed. And those are what dictates, the spacing of water bars, the slope of trails and things like that. But we can only change the supporting background information and the tools, like adding a clinometer tool or adding the table button so you can get the tables. That's not changing the requirements of somebody in UVA. It's just assisting them in implementing those things. So I hope that that explains that. But no, we can't make changes to the rules that are substantive or include new requirements or more strict requirements without going to rulemaking. And that's all legal. That has been reviewed by lawyers, believe me. And I've been through rulemaking twice, and I don't want to do it again. But I want to have the good information out there for people to know what they need to do and help them do it. So thanks for that question.
Awesome. Thanks for that clarification, Dave. And I think that this app does that. Clearly put a lot of work and time into it, and it's a really exciting tool. So look forward to getting it out more and helping to make sure that it's getting in the right hands of folks who can use it out in the field. And
Yep.
As folks use it, I'm sure, like you said, you'd be interested in getting feedback and hearing from foresters and other
Absolutely.
professionals.
And we're going to incorporate it into LEAP trainings where we see a lot of loggers, but we also starting to see foresters for continuing ed credits. And if anybody has ideas for training that they think would be useful from the state of Vermont's perspective, whether it's whatever, AMPs, heavy cutting, or temporary bridges, our loan program, send me ideas, because we want to be responsive and get the information out there that people are looking for. So, and pass the word on the app. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dave, for taking the time to give us this tour and for all your work on this project.
Yep.
And we look forward to hearing what you get up to in the future. Thanks so much, everybody, for taking the time to join us. And again, as I mentioned in the chat box, if you are looking for continuing education credits, go ahead and put your license number and name in the chat box. And I will be following up with the certificate out to everybody. If not by the end of today, then probably by sometime tomorrow morning. So with that, thanks again, everybody, for taking the time to join us, and hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Kate.